Is Black Myth Wukong getting DLC? The information comes from Shenzhen-based journalist and games industry analyst Daniel Camilo. In an X post on Sunday, citing very reliable first-hand sources, he claimed that a DLC for Black Myth Wukong would launch around the Chinese New Year, 2025, which begins January 29, 2025. According to Daniel Wu of Hero Games, the funders of developer Game Science, there is DLC for Black Myth Wukong in the works. With that said, the only news of a release date for this rumored DLC comes from gaming consultant Daniel Camilo. He claims that his sources point to the Chinese New Year, 2025. Camilo, however, added that Game Science's plans could change. While teams have internal plans and roadmaps, nothing is hardly ever set in stone when it comes to release dates in gaming, he said. Additionally, the analyst said that the game had sold nearly 20 million copies, out of which most sales, over 70%, came from China. He also added that the DLC might not sell as phenomenally well as the base game, as Black Myth Wukong was too challenging for many casual gamers who picked up the game when it launched. For many of those consumers, DLC simply won't be an interesting proposition, he said in his X thread. This timeline may seem a bit early, but if DLC was in development before the release, it may make sense. Since Wukong is more linear and closed than other action RPGs, it doesn't take as much time to develop. Also, given the profit this game made, it wouldn't be impossible to bolster staff or resources toward faster production to maximize the potential. Game Science has not officially confirmed its plans for an expansion for Black Myth Wukong, but considering the success of the game, the developer will likely work on launching DLCs for the title. Game Science investor Hero Games told Bloomberg recently that the developer was working on an expansion to Wukong, which would give it a chance to monetize the game a second time. While the statement hints at a paid expansion in the works, there are no details available about the size and the scope of the planned DLC. As with Shadow of the Erdtree for Elden Ring, a DLC for Wukong could be another huge boost for the title. A game like this receiving new challenges, possibly the best of cut content, has a high chance of pulling players back. At the very worst, it would still likely sell in China, where a lot of the sales were originally. It would be hard to match a DLC like Shadow of the Erdtree, but even being of the same quality as the base game of Black Myth Wukong would be amazing.